so full from all of our different services out there. Before we begin, let me first extend my thanks to all the individuals that helped put this thing together. There are too many to name. I'm not going to name them all, but they did an outstanding job, and we really appreciate their efforts. So thank you all. I also want to thank each of you for being here today. We will send our friend and co-worker into retirement with the warmth of your presence. So thank you for being here. I want to introduce the next individual who's going to make some presentations because he really has to get going. He's got another event in a little while, so he needs to make his presentations and get gone. So I'd like to introduce an individual who's led this department since 2012, Brigadier General Michael L. Kniff, the Adjutant General.
Wow, you gotta get up now. Now? Freaking Terry, gonna be here till Hey, so I am going someplace for work. That's why I'm gonna skate out early and drive to Garfield, New Jersey. That'll probably take a couple hours in rush hour and go into the Union Toll Plaza. I've never seen that outfit. But I do have a couple presentations to make. The first one on behalf of the governor. So I'll read it. It's nicely framed for Alice I Love Me Wall when he gets home. And I've got his coin in it. So, dear Mr. Buki, on behalf of the state of New Jersey, I am pleased to extend best wishes and congratulations to you as you celebrate your retirement from the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Throughout your career, you have exhibited professionalism, integrity, expertise in all aspects of the positions you have held within DMAVA. For 8 years, as Director of Veteran Services, you served the people of the state of New Jersey with honor and distinction. Your outstanding performance has earned you the admiration and respect of all your colleagues and has established a standard of excellence that will be difficult to parallel. As you reflect upon all your accomplishments, you can take great pride in the knowledge that your hard work and commitment will serve as an inspiration to others. And I join your family, your friends, and your colleagues in applauding you for a job well done. Thank you for your services. Best wishes, good health, and happiness in the future. Chris Christie, Governor. Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Okay, one more. This one's for me. And I know him, so I crossed out Buki and put out. You're out. Congratulations. That's apparently an Air Force thing, but we do it all the time, but the Army doesn't. They think I'm being sloppy. Congratulations as you retire from the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs after 8 years of faithful and dedicated service to your state. Since serving as the Department of Military and Veterans Services, your responsibilities included supervising operations at the Brigadier General William C. Doyle's Veterans Memorial Cemetery in Wrightstown, overseeing the transitional housing for the homeless veterans at Vets Haven North in Bud Gardner and Vets Haven South in Winslow, and continuing maintenance of our 3 veterans memorials. Also, your duties included supervising the state approving agency and managing the staff of the VSO officers who were talking earlier. I would like to offer you my best wishes to you and your family for good luck, health, happiness in your retirement years, and present you with this memo for this marking this significant occasion. Got more. Okay. So we're going to present 2 of the state awards that Al has been instrumental in giving out throughout the years, but now it's his turn. So I'll turn it over to Chuck.
the Governor of the State of New Jersey, Chris Christie, under the authority of 38A 15-2, New Jersey Revised Statutes, awards a Distinguished Service Medal to Specialist 5 Albert J. Buki for distinguished meritorious service in ground operations during the Vietnam War in the Southeast Asiatic Theater of Operations. And the Vietnam Service Medal is awarded to Specialist 5 Albert J. Buki in recognition of your patriotic and dedicated service in Southeast Asia during the Vietnam conflict, 31 December 1960 to 7 May 1975. The citizens of the state of New Jersey are forever grateful.
This is a letter for Al from me. As you prepare to retire as a director of the Division of Veteran Services, I wish to thank you both personally and on behalf of your colleagues at the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs for the outstanding service you have rendered. Your service has benefited the veterans of New Jersey in ways that are obvious and not so obvious. And the term veteran advocate does not fully describe the positive impact you have had on those we are privileged to serve. From our first meeting many, many years ago, when we pursued the agendas of veteran service organizations that we represented, you have been a source of great knowledge and comfort to me personally, and I shall miss the expertise that you brought to the table. You have always had the well-being of the veteran in mind, and I shall always treasure our affiliation. The coins below, your coin and my coin, are reminders of our ability to work together as a team for the betterment of all veterans everywhere. I wish you, Chris, and your entire family all the best in your retirement, and may the future bless you with much good health and happiness. And I sign that, and you. Thank you. Okay, I would like to now call Mr. Sean Van Loo, who's the acting director for our Healthcare Services Division, to the podium with Margaret Pemberton from the Quilts of Valor for a special presentation. Now, go sit down too.
First of all, I just want to say everybody knows Al. Everyone that achieves anything in their life has to have someone that gives them a chance. And from personal experience, you were that someone that gave me a chance. And for that, I'm grateful. Being an advocate for the veterans that you are and teaching us and instilling that passion to work for you is something that we can't possibly replace, and you're going to be sorely missed, my friend. Without further ado, we reached out to an organization called Quilts of Valor that makes quilts for veterans, and asked them to consider a quilt to honor your service, your character, your integrity, and your ability to do what you do for the veterans that you serve. So that being said, Ms. Margaret Pemberton is the representative.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you so much for inviting me here today. My name is Margaret Pemberton, and I'm joined by Chris Crum and Teresa Munt from our newly formed Turtle Creek Peacemakers Quilts of Valor group. This is our first presentation, so I'm a little nervous. And I'm very proud to represent the Quilts of Valor members and the countless volunteers all over the country. I'd like to share with you the history of Quilts of Valor. In 2003, a quilter named Catherine Roberts started the movement that became Quilts of Valor when her son was deployed to Iraq. One night, Catherine had a dream and saw a young man sitting on the side of his bed in the middle of the night. He was hunched over, and she could feel the despair the young man was experiencing. The next image Catherine saw was the same young man wrapped in a quilt, and that simple action caused the young man's demeanor to change from one of despair to one of hope. Catherine felt the message of that dream is that quilts equal healing. Quilts of Valor believes in a team approach. Someone selects the pattern and pieces the top from various fabrics. Another person uses the long arm quilting machine to create the beautiful machine quilting that holds the 3 layers together. The top, the batting in the center, and the backing, and frequently yet another person sews on the binding, which finishes the edges of the quilt. Since that time of that dream, over 169,823 quilts of valor have been awarded. Our mission is to honor veterans and service members who have been touched by war and comfort them with a healing quilt of valor. It is my honor to make a presentation today to Albert Buki, who is a United States Army Vietnam veteran who honorably served our country. Following his service in Vietnam for the last 8 years, Mr. Buki continued his service to fellow veterans as Director of Veteran Services, where he supervised the State Veterans Cemetery, transitional housing programs, veteran service officers, and the state's war memorials. This quilt of valor is an expression of gratitude meant to thank and comfort you. We honor you for leaving all you hold dear to serve, whether in time of crisis or in time of peace. This quilt of valor unequivocally says thank you for your service, sacrifice, and valor in serving our nation. On behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, welcome home and thank you for allowing us to recognize you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ask Walter Knoll, Colonel retired, Walter Knoll, please come forward. Walter is the superintendent down at Veterans Haven South, and he's got a special presentation coming up.
On behalf of all the veterans and employees out at Veterans Haven South, every day is Veterans Day. We coined that phrase down there, so every day is Veterans Day. And Veterans Haven South is the first transitional housing we had down in the state of New Jersey. It started in 1995, and being an old gun bunny, we just call it now the base piece. And we want to give you a gift here on behalf of our veterans and the staff here. Someone else? It's okay, we're still family. So we have a card here signed by the staff and veterans. And we have our logo designed by one of our veterans at the Haven. And I'd like to present you with this shirt.
Next individual I want to introduce has served in the state assembly for many years and served as the chairman of the Assembly Military and Veterans Affairs Committee. He's a longstanding friend of Al. It's good to have him with us, really is, and if you know the individual, you'll know why. But he's a great guy, and it's a pleasure and a privilege for me to introduce to you for a couple of remarks, Mr. Jack Connors.
It was an interesting ride here today because I was thinking 53 years ago, I joined the Army National Guard and I was in Fort Knox, Kentucky, right around this time, 53 years ago. But more important than that, 20 years ago, 1997, I decided to be a candidate for the New Jersey legislature. And who should I meet? And Chris is laughing, but Al Bucke. And we had never met for the first time. Al was very active in the Veterans of Foreign Wars at Post 3020 in Delran. And we met, and I believe the Army Band was coming. And my father in World War II was in the Army Band. And I said to Al, can I bring my dad? He said, sure, bring him. And I brought him, and Al introduced my dad. He let my dad draw the winning the lottery ticket or something and like that. And from that moment on, I realized this is somebody that I should know, especially if I ever want to get elected to the State House. And from that moment on, Al and I can't talk about how many times we talked on the phone. He came to my office. I ended up going on the Military Veterans Affairs Committee on the advice and recommendation of Al, and I went to the speaker, and he said, sure. So I was on it for the first 4 years, and then in the 5th year, they made me the chairman. But more important than that, Al Bucke was always counseling me, giving me advice, and I don't think there's one piece of significant legislation that Al Bucke didn't influence me on. Every time I thought about something or wanted to do something, I went to Al because he is the man. He is the person you should know. And I'm sure all of you who work with him or know that have to feel the same way. We had many. Al is the first one to take me to Veterans Haven. I'd never been to Veterans Haven. He said, you have to go there. We went to Veterans Haven. It was my first wonderful experience there. So we just had so many opportunities to do this that, it's like infinite, I think. And for me, for 14 years, think about it, ladies and gentlemen, 14 years, Al Bucke was there. And the one significant piece of legislation that he helped me with was I don't know whether you realize, there were soldiers who died and their cremains were left in funeral parlors because the funeral wasn't paid for, and they sat there. So we created legislation that if the cremains remain in a funeral parlor for a year unpaid, that the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, the Vietnam Veterans of America can go get it. But it was Al pushing me and making sure that this happened because, quite frankly, a lot of this was new for me. You might think, he has a lot of experience. No, I needed someone like Al. Vietnam veteran, 1967, 1968. Al, your history, everything you've done is so important to us, all of us who live here and who live in America. But my 14 years in the legislature, I think, was a success, particularly for veterans because of you. There's always, a lot of us do things, but there's someone else who should really be taking the bow and getting the credit. And ladies and gentlemen, that's Al Bucke. Thank you.
Okay, just moving along, I'm going to call on Al for his remarks in a little bit, in a second. But first, we have a letter that I want to have Chuck Robbins read.
Before I read the letter, Al, I just want you to know that I'm going to miss our conversations about you being an Eagle fan and me a Giant fan, you being a Phillies fan, me a Yankee fan, and most importantly, keep me on top of everything going on with veterans. As Jack just said, unbelievable, unbelievable. Thank you for that. Chris, will you please come forward? Me? Yes. Chris, we haven't forgotten you for being not only the spouse of a veteran, but the spouse of the gentleman who served as the state's Director of Veterans Affairs. You have the distinct knowledge of recognizing the true meaning of the word sacrifice and at times putting aside personal life to support his work. And and I know how much you loved all the kids, the grandkids, and everybody in your family. And as the quote states, a good wife and health is a man's best wealth. Al leaves here today a rich man. We wish you and Al good health and happiness always. This is all in a letter here signed by the Adjutant General and Ray Zawacki.
Before I call on Al for a few remarks, Al, don't sit down. I just want to thank his family for being here today. They're the unsung heroes here. Mr. Connors is right. They are the unsung heroes. They supported Al all these years, many years, not just the last 7.5 years you've been with the department here, Al, but beyond that. So, without further ado, let me just introduce to you the retiree, the man who's leaving the department as Director of the Division of Veteran Services, Mr. Al Buki.
Service officers, the guys in the back there, Joe, Richie, Chris, and secretaries. It is what we're here for, is the outreach. And we bring in the dollar bill that people need. Do that. Doyle, Senator Doyle. I saw Ivan. Ivan, you gotta make up your own mind Monday.
Thanks a lot.
But I said, I'll talk to you Monday. But now I'm talking to you. Long as the hole is still open, so we don't have to cover it. So we're in good shape. Doyle, so proud of that place and proud of Bahama in general. So I want to thank you all. Let's say, well, my wife's going to have to put up with me for we had a coin flipping, whoever won, retired, the other heads, loses. Another 17.5 years, so I lost. But let's go and enjoy ourselves. I want to talk to you individually and talk you guys for all of this, for what you've done, especially Ray Zawacki, who nobody does in administration, which is really bad shit, but nobody does in administration for the state of New Jersey. And Ray, thank you very much.
Don't go anywhere, Al.
Just go back to that seat.
First, let me just thank you all for being here today. And we have beverages, snacks. Yeah, it is. Because if she's like my wife, it's going to be gone before you get it back. But anyway, I want to thank you all for being here today. It's really warm. It's a great honor for Al. Al's going to be leaving us. We took we had a voluntary donation, $5 each.
So you got $3.
Yeah, that was somebody $1.50. No, not really. There's a gift card in the envelope, which contains a card signed by all who contributed, and there's $350 gift card.
Give that right to Chris.
You could get it.
Now you got
Again, there are beverages and food in the back. And one more presentation or comment or remarks that we have. The state commander from the VFW is in attendance, and I'll introduce him for a presentation. Mr. Gary Pritchard, our state commander.
Al, you can stay there, I'll bring it to you. I just wanted to let everybody know, Al, very active in the VFW down in Riverside for the longest time. He's also instrumental in our legislative process, on our legislative team, not only here in the state, but also in Washington. The 9/11 GI Bill, Al definitely had his hand in that. So he's, like you said, he's the man. So we just got you a little something, a little thank you for caring for all our veterans. So regardless of who they were, when they were, you were always there, all right? So thank you, Al.
Okay, I believe that's it. And again, thank you all for being here. This concludes the formal part of the program, but feel free, please, to take some snacks and beverages, whatever you need. Thank you.